Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Brand Couch, this time from Reykjavik in Iceland and at the Charge Energy Branding Conference. And I'm here with, and I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that, I'm going to call you Mr. Content, Kevin O'Donovan. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and hello.
Well, it's great to be back here in Reykjavik. Kevin O'Donovan. I'm a technology evangelist. And what I do is I spend my time looking at new technologies and trying to bridge the gap between the promise a new technology is going to deliver and the reality of using that, especially in the energy industry today, right? So what's feasible and whatever.
And the cool thing is when you think about energy industry, you think technology is more like on the utility side, but it's really a lot more to it. And the discussion we just had was about the new kid on the block, which we call the metaverse. What are your thoughts on that, like in general first? Because it's obviously like one of those things that people may or may not believe in. It seems a bit off. Is it something that we really think is going to happen? What do you think?
So metaverse has been, let's say, one of the new hype words in the last probably 12, 18 months. And personally, I'm not sure what that metaverse will turn out to be, nor do I know, will we call it the metaverse? And I suppose I'd put it this way in terms of the energy industry. We've been talking about digitalizing the energy industry for years, and it's a continuous process, right? You're never done. And I see the metaverse as simply being the next stage of digitalization, because what we're doing is we're taking various different technologies, but we're starting to combine them in different ways, in ways that will allow us to interact with data, with our assets in a more immersive, digital, simulated, collaborative way. So to me, the metaverse is just the next stage of digitalization. And whether we'll ever get to where we'll get to, today you could say, well, how many companies say, well, we have a digitalization project? And they're all at different stages, right? So, but the metaverse, the technologies enabling the metaverse, we're using them in the energy industry already. Right, so my point being is that, whatever, it's not Ready Player One or the Matrix that we're looking at, but everybody needs to start thinking about what does it mean for me?
It's interesting to think about though, because like if you look at it now, right, you see companies like obviously Facebook, right? We know their focus on the metaverse, change the name to reflect the same, et cetera, and there's a careful sort of resistance, I want to say, to the thing in general, right? Because it's something big and new, and we've tried sort of that simulation of life before, right? So it's an interesting sort of way to go for energy companies, which are normally not necessarily associated with like the newest technology in communication.
So I suppose, let me frame it this way. So if you go into an energy company today and you talk to the marketing department, they might be going, okay, we need a presence in the metaverse. So what does that mean? And it's like, what's the metaverse today? And in some ways it's seen as a social media platform, but it just happens to be in VR or some 3D thing. That's one angle. But people will stay and say, well, where are all the new cool kids? So they're hanging out in Roblox, playing Fortnite, playing Minecraft. Maybe they're going to Horizon, whatever. Because I give Facebook credit for democratizing, let's say, bringing the name into the thing, but they're not the only show in town.
No, exactly.
And there's many other companies out there. So marketing companies will say, we need a presence. And one of the sessions we'll have here is talking about the fact that, well, if you have a presence, you might need your logo in 3D because people are going to walk around it, right? So there's that piece. So that's that piece. But where I spend most of my time is what we call the industrial metaverse. And what I mean by that is that most companies today, whether you're building energy infrastructure, you're running it, you're maintaining it, or whatever, they're going to have 3D models. They design everything on a computer today. You simulate the wind, so you build a new transmission line, you build a new power plant, you build whatever. You will simulate that on a computer program before you build anything in the ground in terms of seismic shocks, wind, whatever. So they've got digital twins of that. Right. You then build it, you have industrial IoT, you put sensors on everything. You're gathering all the data. You suddenly have a model of what's going on in the real world. Now, what a lot of companies are looking at is they say, we take that model, so that tells us what's going on. I have historical data, I can start playing that back and start seeing for predictive maintenance. Hey, this pump is kind of getting out of whack, I can fix it before it breaks. But what a lot of people are doing, they're taking a lot of the simulation and gaming engines from the likes of NVIDIA, Unity and Unreal Engine, And they're starting to say we can make a simulation of the energy grid. We can make a simulation of our factory.
Yeah, of course.
And we can train the robot to go around in a virtual world without training him in the real world. Faster time to market. I make it once instead of making it and figuring out I made the wrong thing. So my take to people would be, we see a lot of stuff about meta, and that's the picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and that's the metaverse. Metaverse is a lot more than that.
So what you're saying, which I think is a key takeaway, actually, and I personally have not thought about this, and I've been working with digital twins for years. But what you're saying is that metaverse is really platform agnostic, right? It is essentially something that essentially has been existing for a while, and someone has taken ownership of it in a way for our industries, but we're looking into something really virtually expanding the industry into a new dimension, right?
You know, if I knew what the metaverse was going to be, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd been off making billions somewhere and I'd retired. So I don't know what it'll end up to be. But in some ways, you know, some people will say, I kind of go, it's the next stage of digitalization. Other people say it's just the next version of the internet. And like, how did we define the internet over the last 20 years, right? But it's this concept of we're getting more and more data, we're getting more and more 3D models, we have more and more ways of interacting with that in an immersive way. Now, immersive is also a scale. Immersive can be, I can pull up my phone and I get an augmented reality overlay as to that, cut that cable, not that one. That's immersive more than what we have today. Or I could be wearing a VR headset with a Tesla suit, haptic feedback suit with haptic gloves on a multi-directional treadmill. That's way more immersive. So there's this spectrum. But like even during COVID, the amount of companies that started using augmented reality to train people to see what I see, remote support, like that's an immersive solution. So to me, you know, again, there's no religious thing about it has to be VR, it has to be AR. So again, people hear the word metaverse, they kind of go, latest hype. I kind of go, but look at what your ops guys are doing with augmented reality. Look at what your techie guys are doing with VR for training. Look at what you're doing with digital twins for operations. Look at what you're doing for digital twins for your buildings, for your design, your BIM models, and look at what your marketing teams are doing. Now, one of the things I would say that if you have a digital twin in any of those divisions today, they're kind of siloed. And where we're headed is that they'll all start coming together on a platform.
There you go.
And then you have one digital twin. And if I change the model and I change the layout of the factory or I change the wind turbine, my virtual training changes almost automatically. That to me is where, and as I say, I live in the future, but I would say to folks that don't underestimate where this technology is going and have a plan. At least have an opinion.
Have a plan. With that, Kevin, you're also the MC of this conference, so I don't want to spend I do want to spend more time. I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for the talk. Kevin, do you have a website where people can follow your work?
I do. Well, the easiest way to find me is you can find me on Twitter or you can find me on LinkedIn and kevin-o'donovan.com.
Very cool. And the reason I call it Mr. Content is because there's a lot of content out there Kevin is doing. So check him out. And thank you very much for the talk. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for the opportunity.